Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. If you're new here, want to help me grow my platform, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon to get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video, I'll be breaking down the upcoming World Championship fight in the One Championship side of things between Christian Lee and Moldovan undefeated challenger Iuri Lapicus. Now, well, obviously I slaughtered that name, but now this is a very important fight. This card's a massive one. There's loads of world title fights on that card, and it's actually a massive comeback for One Championship. They've obviously, been hit by the pandemic, much like all of us, and because of that, some of the key marquee fights that they was putting on earlier this year kind of got cancelled and fell through. One of them was, of course, the Onglan Sang versus Vitali Big Dash fight, the Demetrius Johnson, Adriano Moraes fight, and we also haven't seen Christian Lee fighting in over a year now. So this is a very important comeback for the young man, and he takes on a really tough, undefeated, and durable Moldovan challenger who's coming to take that belt from him. Now, the winner of this, in my opinion, is going to be, no doubt in my mind, a top 15, top 20 lightweight in the world. Now, they're still going to have some work to do. Technically, this fight's being fought at 170 just because of One Championship cutting policies, but these are lightweights for all purposes that we're accustomed to calling a fighter a lightweight. So you got to consider this a lightweight fight. Anyways, without further ado, let me look into this fight. Let me break it down for you guys. So the first thing that jumps out to me is how young both of these guys are. Now, while Christian Lee's been a world champion for a little bit, he's had a year off, he's been in One Championship for a while, much like his sister, he's a very, very young man. He's still only 22 years old, which means the large majority chunk of his career is ahead of him. Actually, when he got put into another world title fight with Shinya Aoki, I felt like he was being rushed along far too long. Even when he got matched up with Martin Nguyen, again, I felt like he was getting rushed along far too fast. But he's come through with the other end. He's a world champion now. He's representing himself, his country, everything about his family very, very well. And I think he's a very, very talented fighter. Iuri Lapicus is 24 years old, also a very young man. These are two very young fighters, in their physical primes, and they've still got a long time ahead of them in the fight game. So it's a very exciting fight. Christian Lee comes into this fight with a professional record of 13 wins and 3 losses. And he fights Iuri, who has a professional win or a record of 14 wins and no losses. He's an undefeated fighter coming into this fight. So two very, very talented fighters with records to show for it. Christian Lee stands at 5'10". Iuri Lapicus stands at about 5'9", but the difference is Iuri Lapicus is much, much broader. When you look at these two men, there's no doubt who the bigger man is. Yes, Christian Lee may be an inch taller, but he's not the bigger man. Iuri Lapicus is huge compared to him. So I think that's going to play out in this fight. Now, the reach with every One Championship fighter it's something that I struggle to find, really. But having looked at both these guys and looked at their frames, Christian Lee, I would say, has no more than a 72-inch reach, and I would say Iuri's around probably the 73, 74-inch mark. So I would give Iuri a bit of a reach advantage on him just by looking at his wing frame, the way he throws his punches and stuff like that, I would say. But obviously there's no science to this. This is just my opinion from having watched and been involved in martial arts my entire life, and it's just what I know. So bear that in mind. To describe their styles now, well, Christian Lee, much like his sister, has a very good ground game. He's got very good submissions, he's got a very good top game on the ground, and he's able to get his fighters down. Not with the best wrestling, really, but he's very creative in how he gets fighters to the mat, and he uses that part of his game very, very well, very, very effectively. And I think he's got good boxing as well. He's not the best striker per se, but I think he has got good boxing, and I think that's something that we should note coming into this fight. I haven't seen an awful lot from Iuri against the best of the division, but what I have seen is that he carries big power in his leg kicks. He likes to leg kick often. He's got good movement on the feet, and actually he's got some decent ground game. He's not a BJJ specialist, he's no Shinya Aoki, but he's very talented on the ground as well. With that said, let's look at some of their key wins. So for Christian Lee, there's really only two names that jump out for me. Shinya Aoki, who's a legend of the game, a former, where do I even start with Shinya Aoki? But it's not about Shinya Aoki. But Shinya Aoki's got tons of belts and credentials to his name. That's a huge win for Christian Lee to have taken the belt of Shinya Aoki on Shinya Aoki's second reign as a One Championship lightweight world champion. And of course, more recently, he's beaten Sergeant Hussein Aslan Aliyev, who's a guy who I think a lot of. Actually, I've done a video looking at some of the top prospects coming up in MMA, and I noted that guy. And for Christian Lee to beat him, that's pretty impressive for me. Iuri Lapicus really has only one win to talk about. That's Murat Gafarov. Murat Gafarov's a very talented guy. He came into the fight a very, battle-hardened contender in One Championship, also a former champion as well, I believe. So that's not a guy to be taken lightly. That's a good win. The issues for Christian Lee coming into this fight is going to be his layoff. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts him, especially so young in his career where he should be being active really. And of course his susceptibility to leg kicks, I think that's where this fight could be difficult for him, because Iuri throws a lot of leg kicks. And I think the natural size advantage that Iuri, I think, will have over him. And for Iuri, the biggest issue is going to be that he's unproven. Yeah, he's got one good win against Murat Gafarov, but he hasn't really beaten no one else, and he hasn't really shown nothing. And when you look at his record, you see a lot of fighters that wouldn't really make you turn your head. So I think it's very important to note that he is a very unproven commodity, and we don't actually know much about him coming into this fight. The X factor for Christian Lee is going to be the experience against the top level. So that's not just his wins, that's also his losses against guys like Martin Nguyen. Martin Nguyen is one of the best fighters in the world, and he beat lost to Martin Nguyen not once but twice. But he's been in there with him. He's had that experience. He's had those tough fights. Even losing itself is an experience factor. He's been there, had to go through hardships and come back. We haven't seen that in Iuri's game, so that's very, very important to know. And for Iuri, the X factor is going to be his big leg kicks and the unknown. We don't know how good he actually is, and we're going to find out, but we don't know coming into this fight, and that's kind of an X factor in a way. With that said, let's get into my prediction. That's a very interesting fight, and I think it comes down to two tails. I think on the feet, Iuri has shown me that he's got good enough skills to give Christian Lee a lot of problems. I think he's going to hurt him with leg kicks. I think he's going to land big shots, and I think it's going to be tough to take down. The issues in this fight where it stands for me is that when Iuri comes into deep waters and he's not experienced with deep waters, how is he going to deal with it? How is he going to handle that pressure? How is he going to handle the fight? Christian Lee will bring him the fight. Christian Lee may lose the first minute or two of the round. He may lose a round or two, but Christian Lee's going to be there, and he's going to be there with his boxing. He's going to make it hard, and he's always going to be trying to take him down and submit him. He's also a very durable guy, so you're not just going to take Christian Lee out of it. And on the ground, I think he's going to enjoy a big advantage. Right. So now what we're looking at is an unproven guy trying to prove himself against a world champion who's only 22 years old, and a guy who I believe to have better well-rounded skills. Well, I think the recipe is right there. Now, I think a lot of Iuri, and I think his roof is pretty high. I just don't think that this is going to be the fight where he wins the world title, just because I don't like it stylistically or experience-wise for him. And I think Christian Lee's going to really make good on this fight. I think Christian Lee's going to utilize his experience. I think it's going to come in with a mixed bag of mixed martial arts, and I think he's going to throw everything at him that's been thrown at him. And he's had it all. He's had the striking, he's had the wrestling, he's had submissions, he's had it all thrown at him. He's been in there with the best of the best in terms of the Asian scene, and I think he's going to utilize that experience, and Iuri's going to struggle. I think Iuri's going to win the early part of this fight, because I think he's the bigger, more athletic guy, and he's more dynamic in his striking. He's got better leg kicks, and I think that's going to set a toll for the fight. And if he's able to utilize that and gain that advantage and show me something in his game that I haven't seen, or haven't been able to see based on his level of competition, that wouldn't surprise me that much, just because I do think he's incredibly talented. But if I have to make a prediction, I'm going to say that Christian Lee survives the early onslaught, adapts whilst doing damage during the early onslaught, and as the fight goes on, he's going to start to take over, and we're going to see a late submission finish. In the 4th or 5th round, I'm picking Christian Lee to get a submission finish. Anyways, guys, let me know how you guys see this fight going. Let me know if you enjoyed this fight breakdown. Obviously, it's a bit different to one championship breakdown. I like to cover UFC, Bellator, one championship, boxing, everything I can as long as I have the time. So this week is going to be dedicated to one championship, and has been. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to comment below if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. At the end of all these videos, I put a little clip on of one of my older videos that maybe didn't get the views that I felt like it deserved. So definitely check out the clips if you haven't seen the whole video. If you don't want to watch the whole video, just watch the end of this, and maybe you find something that you enjoyed there and you want to go check it out another time, that's fine too. For some reason, YouTube's not letting me link it in the comment section below, which is weird, because my own channel, I should be able to use a link, but it's just the way it is. Just go on my channel, find it. It's not there. It's not hard to find. All my videos are there. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I'm Rohan, and as always, this is Mindful Combat. So at number 5, I've got Max Holloway. Max Holloway, I think, has got great footwork. He's got great boxing. He sets up a lot of stuff with his jab, and I think his pressure boxing style really translates to a lot of success for him in the sport of mixed martial arts. And I think when you're looking at his skill set, his movement, his abilities, his conditioning, the way he puts his punches together, it's actually pretty damn impressive. He never finishes a punch on single punches, always combinations. And when he's at his best and he's moving well and he's healthy and he's strong and he's got his confidence, his hands are as dangerous as anyone. Now, I think he won his last fight in mixed martial arts, but that's irrelevant because what he did display in that fight was a great jab, and I think he's displayed a great jab throughout it. Obviously, a jab is a key fundamental step in professional boxing if you're going to have any level of success. And I think Max Holloway is someone that will do really, really well. He fights at 145. The equivalent of that would be welterweight in boxing, because that's 147, I believe. So I think he could have a lot of success in that class, and I think the way he holds his hands and his defensive skills, his footwork and his combinations, just put him together, make him a good package for the sport of boxing. At number 4, I've got the heavyweight champion of the world, and in my opinion, the greatest UFC heavyweight there ever was. I don't think it's the greatest heavyweight of all time, not just yet. But Stipe Miocic, I think Stipe Miocic is absolutely exceptional with his hands. I think he's got great skills. He's got a great jab. He carries his combinations well. He digs to the body brilliantly, just the way he did with Daniel Cormier. We all saw that, and I think he's a guy that can do a lot of damage on the feet, and he can make a lot of stuff happen in the sport of boxing. Even in MMA, all his combinations start with his hands, finish with his hands. I think he's got great kicking abilities. He just doesn't tend to use it very much. And I think Stipe Miocic could have a lot of success in the game of boxing. I think if you look at the way he puts his combinations together, how he ends with the body shots, where he lacks in the sport of boxing, I think his defensive abilities are a bit suspect to me, and not just to say his chin suspect. I don't think his chin is suspect at all. He fought Francis, who's not on the list by the way, because I think he's a bit too reckless and like skill set wise, without his power, I don't know how good he is, so I've just based this on skill set. But going back to the topic, I think Stipe Miocic leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to his defensive skills in boxing, and I think he gets hit a lot. He showed good head movement against Francis because he understands the stakes that were on the line in that fight, but I think overall he would struggle in the sport of boxing, particularly when he's put up against those guys with the lightning fast hands and guys who just know how to do it all well and box so technically sound and are just so dangerous that they see tiny openings. Even Dylan White got caught and KO'd, and I think the same would happen to Stipe, but that's not to say that I don't think he could have success, and I think for mixed martial arts he's got great hands. Stipe is my number 4 guy.